Hi! So it's probably hard to have missed this, but last week Warner Music Group and Suno settled the lawsuit that Warner had filed against Suno for copyright infringement. Now we all remember of course what happened to UDO when their lawsuits got settled. So what's next for you now if you are a Suno user or were maybe hoping to sign up? Well, let's have a look and let's go. Yeah, it's almost hard to have missed this if you're at all involved in music production or in the use of AI tools in music production. But the three major labels filed a suit against UDO and Suno somewhere mid-2024 for copyright infringement because Suno and UDO trained on their catalog of music without prior permission. And Suno and UDO basically argued that this was fair use because, for example, their output was transformative. It just learned patterns from the songs that it trained on and then generated songs which also follow that pattern basically. So they argued that this is fair use. Now unfortunately these court cases are not likely to actually follow to a natural end where there will be precedents created. That would be nice of course because then we all know what we're up to, because currently we're really still a bit in the cowboy age of AI music and everybody's still feeling around what's fair, what's allowed, etc. But a couple of weeks ago it started with UDO settling with UMG and I think later also with the other labels, and that basically resulted in UDO no longer providing the ability to generate unlimited songs with commercial use rights and download them and even release them or rework on them in your own studio. Understandably, this made a lot of UDO users angry and I even made a separate video about it which I'll link in the description. But now, a few weeks later, lo and behold, Suno has settled with one of the labels as well, Warner Music Group. So is the same thing going to happen to Suno now? Will we no longer be able to use it to generate songs, to work on our own songs, to download audio, rework it, release it, etc.? Well, let's have a look at some of the communication that has been done about this, and I'm not going to go over all the statements that many other videos have discussed already as well, but let's just look at the most important things and what this could mean for the future of Suno and of course for the users of Suno, of which I'm one. Now the main article of course is this blog article, which is on the Suno website, published on the 25th of November. And one of the things that they state over here, as Suno continues to reshape the music ecosystem, a part of our mission is working with the legendary music makers and rights holders that have created the soundtrack of our lives. Together we can create a paradigm shift in how music is made, consumed, experienced and shared to delight music fans around the world. Very nice statement of course, but I think it does touch on the fundamental thing that something needed to happen. Because like I said, it is good for all parties to get out of this cowboy age of AI music generation. So they either had to keep fighting the lawsuits, which is not so great for the Suno users either, because then you don't know what's up, or they needed to come to some kind of licensing arrangement to get the labels off their back, or they needed to just fold altogether, which is definitely a bad thing for the users as well. Now next up, what's interesting is their statement on how Suno is evolving. Over here they state you will still be able to create original songs the way you love today. Our core experience remains focused on giving everyone access to powerful music creation. Now this is of course also very similar to a statement that UDO made, but of course UDO immediately imposed a lot of limitations, like you couldn't download your songs anymore, except for a couple of days, and you did not get any commercial use rights anymore. So let's see what they say further down here. Now they are talking about a new experience for fan engagement here. We will be introducing content from Warner Music Group artists who opt in for the use of their names, images, likeness, voices and compositions to be used in new AI-generated music. And there will be new creation experiences from these artists that have to opt in specifically, which will open up new revenue streams for the artists and allow you to interact with them in new ways. You'll be able to build around participating artists' sounds and ensure they get compensated. Again, this looks very much like what UDO stated. Let's continue, because this is where it starts to deviate from the UDO experience. Downloads, quality and safety. We know being able to download the songs you make in Suno is very important to the Suno community, and that functionality isn't going away. Moving forward, a paid Suno account will be required to download songs from the product, with each paid tier enabling a specific number of downloads each month, with more details to be shared soon. So this is quite different from what we saw with UDO. As a paid user, you will still be able to download your songs, which is really what we need, of course, if we want to, for example, work on our own music in Suno, or maybe download generated songs and totally reproduce them in our own studio. Downloads is quite essential, but it seems that they are going to set a cap on the number of downloads. So if you're a Suno user which really wants to generate a lot of songs, immediately release them on streaming platforms, then it looks like this will no longer be possible in the future. I think that's probably a good thing, because the enormous flood of AI-generated songs on the streaming services is quite ridiculous at the moment, I think. But yeah, if you're one of those users, this may definitely impact you. Now let's read on what they say about Suno Studio. So Studio remains our pro powerhouse. Suno Studio will continue to be our most powerful creation tool and will remain untouched, including unlimited download functionality. If you rely on Studio for advanced workflows, that experience is staying as is, with exciting new feature rollouts ahead. Now, I think as a serious Suno user, when you are using Suno Studio, possibly to put in your own parts and then have Suno work on them or generate additional parts, this should come as a relief that they will not limit the functionality of Suno Studio, and even the downloads from Suno Studio will stay enabled, and as they say over here, will even be unlimited. And what they are still saying here in the What's Next section is that over the next few weeks and months, we'll share more details about the timing of new features as they are ready. Now, of course, this is only one source. It is the official statement on the Suno website, but still, let's check some other sources to see if we can get some more information, or maybe contradictory information, to see whether all parties are actually in agreement about what's going to happen. And one of those sources that I want to have a look at is the Suno Discord, where you can see this announcement. And this announcement is from Mike B, who is head of community support. And again, this post relates to the partnership with Warner Music Group. And he wants to discuss in this post what that means for you as a Suno user. So things that won't change, according to Mike. You will still be able to create original songs the way you love today. Our core experience remains focused on giving everyone access to powerful music creation. Studio remains our pro powerhouse. Suno Studio isn't going anywhere and will continue to improve. If you rely on Studio for advanced workflows, that experience is staying as is, plus more feature rollouts ahead. Now, rights to the music you make, that's an important one. For when you somehow want to use this generated music commercially, music made on the free plan remains for personal, non-commercial use only, which it is already today, of course, also before the deal with Warner. And music made on the paid plan will continue to be granted commercial use rights. So Mike B says all of those things will not be changing and will remain as they are today. Now, what will change is what they're saying over here. As a result of our partnership with Warner Music Group and in line with our mission to give you the best experience, you can expect a new generation of powerful music models. The idea, of course, being that they can now train legally on high quality music from Warner Music Group. So that will enable them to make more powerful AI models, and they will be based on licensed music. And there are new experiences for fan engagement. Again, you will be able to use images, voices, maybe parts of the music of artists of Warner who opt in for this and who will then make some money from this as well. Now, they will also introduce some privacy features to protect the works of creators at all levels and enable them to share on their own terms. So I imagine that this will probably mean that they will maybe check even more closely on whether you're not trying to upload copyrighted songs from somebody else and then cover them, or maybe trying to use the exact voice of an artist who did not really opt in for this. We know this has been happening on Spotify as well, right? People uploading tracks with the voice of famous artists, even to the artist profile sometimes. That's not something you want to do as a serious music producer anyway, I would think. So probably not a problem. Now again, updates to downloads over here. They're saying we're not removing downloads, but some changes are in the works. We know being able to download the songs you make in Suno is very important to the Suno community, and that functionality isn't going away. Moving forward, a paid Suno account will be required to download songs from the product, with each paid tier enabling a specific number of downloads each month, with more details to be shared soon. Which sounds very similar to what they were saying in their blog, right? Now finally, over the coming weeks and months, we'll send updates with more details, expected timelines, etc. At the end of the day, our mission remains the same: make music more valuable in every way, accessible, interactive and fun. Your creativity continues to push us forward, and we're taking the steps to reshape a music ecosystem and economy that can benefit you and all music makers alike. Yeah, that definitely sounds a bit like marketing language, but again, it also sounds, as in the blog, that they're trying to communicate about upcoming changes so that we as users will be prepared for them and know it's coming. Now, another interesting source to have a short look at is the announcement of the other party in this court case, Warner Music Group. What are they saying about their deal with Suno and what this will change in Suno and for the Suno users. But before we dive into that, if you like this video or find it useful at all, please give it a big thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm so that it gets shown to more people. Subscribe to the channel and ring the little bell so you know when I publish another video. For even more support, you can also use the super thanks button below the video, which is kind of a virtual tip jar. Or if you're planning to buy anything at one of these stores anyway, I have many affiliate links in the description, and if you click one of those before you buy anything at that store, I will get a small commission without any additional cost to you, which is highly appreciated. But let's get back to what's being said in Warner Music's announcement. So this is the statement from Warner Music Group about Warner Music Group and Suno forge groundbreaking partnership. And their CEO says, "This landmark pact with Suno is a victory for the creative community that benefits everyone. With Suno rapidly scaling, both in users and monetization, we've seized this opportunity to shape models that expand revenue and deliver new fan experiences. AI becomes pro-artist when it adheres to our principles, committing to licensed models, reflecting the value of music on and off the platform, and providing artists and songwriters with an opt-in for the use of their name, image, likeness, voice, and compositions in new AI songs." So they are of course defending this to their roster of artists as a new way to generate revenue if they opt in for this possibility to use their music and their songs and their voices and images. They say this is going to add an additional revenue stream for those artists. Now about the changes that Suno will make according to them. In 2026, Suno will make several changes to the platform, including launching new, more advanced and licensed models. When the new models launch in 2026, the current models will be deprecated. Moving forward, downloading audio will require a paid account. Suno will introduce download restrictions in certain scenarios, specifically in the future. Songs made on the free tier will not be downloadable and will instead be playable and shareable. Paid tier users will have limited monthly download caps with the ability to pay for more downloads. So again, very similar statements with regard to downloads. No more downloads on the free tier and capped downloads for the paid tiers. Question is of course, how large will those download limits be? To me, I don't have to be able to download 100 songs a month, for example, even though my credits are sufficient to generate 2,000 songs on the platform each month. Those songs are probably not all good, and especially when you're using Suno Studio, you're actually going through those credits for every generation that you do, even when you generate just the guitar part, for example. So we'll have to wait and see how many fully AI generated songs we can still download from the platform. Hopefully they will announce this soon. Now another thing that you may have noticed here, they're working on new models based on licensed music, and the current models will be deprecated. Now, I'm not reading that exactly in those words in the Suno statements, not on their blog and not in Discord. Over there, they're just talking about the ability to make new models with licensed music. And obviously, it's a natural thing to slowly phase out old models. And that's fine if the new models are better. But the question is, of course, will the new model be better? And how quickly will they phase out the old models, which were probably trained on a much larger variety of music, not just the licensed music from Warner. Now, to me, those are some of the most important things that have been said about this deal between Suno and Warner. But maybe I missed something which you feel is very important, so let us know in the comments so we can discuss it. Now, reading all of this, I think changes will happen gradually. They're talking about 2026, and the question is even when in 2026. But they're also talking about communicating any timelines. So it looks like they will be communicating any changes that will happen in advance, so we can prepare for it as Suno users. Now, important features for music producers to use this as a tool. For example, the features of Suno Studio. It seems that it will stay on the platform, and fortunately also with the ability to use these tracks commercially and download them, although there will be a download limit. So the question is, how restrictive will this be? So what now? The question from the thumbnail. Well, to me, I would say don't panic. It does not look like the Udio situation at the moment. If I look at the reactions on the internet to this, it also looks like they are not as angry as when the deal with Udio was struck. And of course, both Warner and Suno know that Suno is the biggest one at the moment in the AI music generation tools. And if they just take it off the market or change it completely, all users will just go to the next one, which may not be based in the US. So will be out of the sphere of influence from Warner and all the other major labels. So they probably realize it's also in their best interest to keep this platform going and interesting for the current user base. Because these AI music tools are not going anywhere, Pandora is definitely out of the box. But again, let me know how you feel about this. Are you foreseeing a doom scenario? Are you foreseeing a scenario that allows you to still work with Suno in the way you want to? Let us know in the comments and we can have a bit of a discussion about it. Now, if you're not yet a Suno user but were thinking about signing up to Suno or maybe upgrading your plans, now is actually a better time than ever because they're also having a huge Black Friday sale with, I think, 20% off the monthly plan for the first month and even 40% of the yearly plans. So that's really a huge saving if you still want to get into this. And I even have an affiliate link for this if you want to sign up and support the channel at the same time. I'll provide a link in the description again. And if you want to check out in more detail how you can use Suno Studio to work on music, either your own or generated by Suno, I have a separate video about that, which I will link over here. Check it out, enjoy, and see you soon.